to the Writing Center's note-taking workshop. Here you will learn how to take notes with a little less stress. To start off, what is note-taking? Note-taking is the process of recording information from another source to later study. Taking notes helps to take off the stress of having to remember everything that was discussed. Notes are often taken in lectures, classes, or in meetings. The biggest issue with having to take notes is the amount of time you actually have to get the words down onto paper, while still being able to understand them. This resource will go over the different ways to tackle note-taking to better avoid this issue. Everyone should write notes, but the way notes are written vary from person to person. Understanding your learning style may help you to figure out the best way to take notes. There are three main types: visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic or hands-on learners. You may notice you can learn in all three types, but there is always one that you tend to learn better with. So what are these learning styles? Learning styles are the way you can take in information best to learn it. Visual learners learn by what they see. Diagrams and images are more likely to help them learn material. Auditory learners learn by what they hear. Listening to lectures and discussions with classmates best help them to learn. Kinesthetic learners learn by moving and doing. Hands-on projects such as completing a lab help them to best learn. Which of these types seem to fit you best? Now that you have an idea of what your learning style is, how should you incorporate your style when taking notes? For visual learners, try these out. Using bright colors help your notes to stand out. Rewriting facts will help you see information over again. Copying images and diagrams will help you to connect better with words. Try doodling your notes. Or you can create your notes as mind maps. Also try writing your notes as flashcards so you already have studying materials ready to prep for tests. Use highlighters to mark key points. Also, try going ahead and skimming through chapters and guidelines to give you a base idea of what you're about to go over. As an auditory learner, try recording lectures. Make sure to check with your teacher beforehand to make sure that is allowed. Studying with others will also help, as you're more likely to remember the conversation. Try using word association. For example, cation sounds like cat. Have discussions with friends and classmates about class lectures. Alongside this, try music or rhyme to help you remember. And repeating your notes out loud when studying them is always a great way to study your notes. If you're more of a hands-on learner, write notes in class and rewrite your notes too. You're more likely to remember thanks to muscle movement. Alongside this, tracing keywords with your finger or a pen will help for the very same reason. On-site visits or field trips are also a great way to remember. Try being active while studying. Squeeze a stress ball, tap your pencil, or move around as you study. Use examples when writing your notes. Try learning by doing through experiments, labs, or hands-on activities. Practice questions are helpful as well. For example, if you go over several math problems, you're more likely to learn a certain equation. Like visual learners, also try writing out flashcards. You can read these while on the go. As some basic tips for all note takers, write only the important stuff. The goal is to get to the point. As a note, if your teacher is talking more about a specific topic, then write it down. It's important and it's likely to be on the test. Also, try summarizing rather than writing word for word. By jotting down phrases instead of full sentences, or by writing them in your own words, you'll get the notes on the paper faster. And always remember that fast and sloppy is okay. You do want to make sure that your handwriting is legible, but you don't need to make sure that the dot on your I is perfect either. So how does summarizing work? Let's find out by going over this paragraph about global warming. Global warming is an undesirable phenomenon because it leads to the melting of glaciers and ice caps, which leads to a rise in sea levels, the biggest threat from which the drowning of entire cities which are situated in the coastal areas. It is predicted that the average rise in temperature during the 21st century will be in the range of 1.4 to 5.8 degrees Celsius. In this, we only need to write down the most important information, so we'll take out the unnecessary words. In the second paragraph, we've highlighted the key points. Global warming, which is undesirable, as it leads to the melting of glacier ice caps, leads to a rise in sea levels. It is the biggest threat, drowning entire cities and coastal areas, and is predicted an average rise in temperature during the 21st century at a range of 1.4 to 5.8 degrees Celsius. With just the highlighted words, we've gotten down the info in a shorter amount of time, while still getting the most important information. Summarizing does take practice, as you need to pick and choose what to keep in a short amount of time, but eventually you'll be able to do it like it's nothing. Adding abbreviations and symbols to your notes can also help cut out time while writing. Abbreviations are words that have been shortened. You may be familiar with these when texting, such as BRB or IDK. As these are your own personal notes and not written assignments, these are perfectly okay to use. Some common abbreviations are: because can be B/C. With or without can be expressed in similar ways. Though, THO, is a shortened version of though. Through, THRU, is for through. Diff is for different. EX is for example. ETC stands for etc., used when trying to say and so on. You'll usually see this at the end of a list of examples to showcase the list could go on and on. Abbreviations can also be acronyms, like USA, where it's using the first letter of each word from its name, United States of America. ARC is another acronym standing for Academic Resource Center. Gov'(T) stands for government. You can also use symbols. The plus or and sign can be used to in place of the words and or plus. The 3 dots are a math symbol used to mean therefore. Not can be expressed in many ways, such as using a circle with a slash through it or an X. Degrees can simply use this degree symbol rather than writing out the full word. The less than and more symbols can be used as well. The best part about abbreviations and symbols is they can be used by you to mean whatever you want them to. It might be a good idea to create a word bank of them to remember, but over time you'll begin to compile your own mental list of abbreviations and symbols to use whenever you need. Engaging with your notes as you take them is another great way to help you learn. Try using bullet points to list ideas. Use your space wisely. You'll see an example of this on the next slide. Underline your headers. Mark what you need to revisit by circling it or putting an exclamation point next to it. Draw arrows to relating info such as descriptions or subpoints. Highlight, box, underline, or star key info. Or make drawings of information and ideas. Going back to our summary on global warming, we've now used the rules of engaging with your notes to create notes that are easier to read. Here, we've used an arrow to point to global warming's definition, undesirable phenomena. We then used a bullet list to create subpoints. Global warming can lead to melting glaciers and to a rise in sea levels. A plus sign was used in place of and in melting glaciers and ice caps. And then an arrow was used to point to more info to state that sea levels rising is a big threat to drowning cities. In the last bullet, AVG is used to stand for average. Temp was used to stand for temperature. Also, using numbers like we did with 21st is easier than writing out 21st. The C next to it stands for century. The equal sign shows that a rise in temperature equates to 1.4 to 5.8 degrees. And then the dash was used to show range, 1.4 to 5.8. Through these steps, we've broken down information into smaller, easier to read chunks that will be useful to help study. Try these out as well to better help you prepare for taking notes in class. Prep your notes before class. While waiting for your professor, it is a great time to prep. Write down the title, the date, and look at the online materials to see what you'll be covering for that day. Write, don't type. Try writing rather than typing, as you're more likely to remember because of muscle memory. However, if this is unavoidable, try searching for other methods of typing your notes online. Also, try proven note-taking methods like the outline, Cornell, or mind map methods. The outline method is one of the most common forms of taking notes. They are very highly structured notes and are organized by levels of information. You start with your main topic as the heading, and then, using bullet lists, work your way down with subtopics, supporting facts, details, and examples. Follow these templates when creating your notes. The Cornell Method is another option using Cornell University's Professor Walter Pock's systematic way to take, organize, and review notes. You start off by dividing your paper up into 3 sections. A side column called your Q column, a notes column that takes up most of the page, and a row at the bottom of your page called the summary column. Your notes column is the column you write in during class. This is where you'll write your notes. As you write, try to keep spacing available to come back and add in extra notes later. Your Q column is something you'll use after class to write keywords, phrases, and questions relating to your notes. And the summary column is either used after class or during class review. There you'll write main ideas to use as a quick reference when studying for tests. Then there's the mind map method. This one you may be very familiar using in grade school to brainstorm. Well, you can also use this same method to take notes. With a mind map, you start with your main topic in the middle of your page, and then begin working your way out. This method is a quick and easy way to get your thoughts down very quickly. All you have to do is keep stemming out from bubbles of information. When you run into new info, you create a new bubble. Try it out! To wrap up, your notes are your own, so write them however you like, so long as it helps you learn. And make sure they're legible. Importantly, your notes are useless to you if you don't study them. Make sure to set aside time to study your notes. And, as a huge point to make, always ask your teacher to slow down, go back, or ask any questions you may have. If they're moving too fast, let them know. Making sure you understand the topic is what they're paid to do. Don't hesitate to ask. Now that we've covered how to go about taking your notes with a little less stress, let's practice. Try taking notes as you watch this crash course video about taking notes. Try out any way of taking notes that you want. Try something new and enjoy taking your notes with a little less stress. Remember your learning style to just get down to the important stuff, summarize, and engage with your notes. Good luck!